Sports Information Director Daniel Gallegos, joined alongside Graduate Assistant Sports Information Director Jordan Bergeron. And Jordan, another weekend of the year. Not as many sports going in action last week. For the most part, just volleyball and football were in action, playing some games. Let's start off first with volleyball. They had a four-match slate this past week. They opened up at home with Henderson State this past Tuesday. What happened in that match?
Yeah, Henderson State, the Lady Mulerides got a sweep in that match, and it was Amanda Monge again with 12 kills who led the Lady Mulerides. But it was good to see Ali O'Banion regain her form. She had 6 blocks in that match, and Logan Talbert, we talk a lot about Monge and O'Banion, but it's good to see Logan Talbert, another middle, to stay consistent. She had 8 kills in that match.
Also, in the Henderson match, I think looking into it on paper, Henderson's a team that since the Great American Conference, they've kind of struggled a little bit, particularly in conference play. But that was a very close match, even though it was a 3-0 sweep in terms of sets for the Lady Mulerides. Each set was very closely played, and so it wasn't necessarily the blowout that maybe some people might have anticipated going into that. And maybe, Coach Grimm might not have been able to work on some extra things he was trying to work on. We talk a little bit about the competitiveness of that match and what Henderson brought to the table.
Well, yeah, Henderson, despite their record, they brought together a good match, and I think it might have been a little looking forward to the Lady Mulerides. They went to Arkansas Tech on Thursday, and sometimes those teams, they look forward, they look ahead of those games, and I'm not saying they look past Henderson because they still got the win, but Henderson definitely played a competitive match.
Yeah, and it is pretty tough to not kind of look ahead, knowing that maybe you should beat a particular team, but then knowing you've got a tougher game right afterwards, and that tough game was at Arkansas Tech. But I think the Lady Mulerides had a lot of confidence going into that, not just coming off of a win against Henderson State, but how well they played against Harding on the road and all the road matches they played so far. Had to have had a lot of confidence going into the match at Tech. Things didn't work out the way they wanted to. Give us a little recap on that match.
Yeah, that's right. Tech showed why they're the #1 team in the conference, and they swung a really high percentage, and the Lady Mulerides swung a really low percentage. That's really the recap. But it was really Arkansas Tech's middle, Katie Huff. She had 14 kills, a game high, and she was really great in the middle for Arkansas Tech, and the Lady Mulerides were never able to get anything going. But before that match, 7 of 8 matches, the Lady Mulerides had hit over 200, and Arkansas Tech was able to limit them to 116. And Coach Grimm said one of the keys to that match was serving aggressive, and the Lady Mulerides only had 2 service aces, so obviously that didn't go to plan, and Arkansas Tech had 6 service aces. Now, we only had 2 service errors, but I guess to serve aggressive, we needed a little bit more than 2 service aces to pull out the win.
Always tough to go on the road, particularly at a place like Arkansas Tech. Year in and year out, they're one of the top teams, at least in the Great American Conference, even going back to the Gulf South days. Very good program at Arkansas Tech. So even though it wasn't the win, I think still the Lady Mulerides, they can build off of that. They've got that experience, even going back to last year. I believe they played Tech twice, losing the first time at Tech, but then when they played them at home, regular season finale is an epic 5-set match that they wound up winning. And so it can be done. Lady Mulerides, I think, nothing to hang their heads on from that match, particularly when you look ahead a little bit as we project towards the conference tournament and possibly seeing Arkansas Tech again, either probably maybe not necessarily in the first round, but maybe, round 2, 3, maybe even the championship match. So something down the road to look forward to. The Lady Mulerides kind of stayed on the road. They actually didn't come home because they were already, particularly northern part of the state, were playing in a tri-match in Springfield, and so rather than coming home and going back, they wound up staying the night and participating in a tri-match in Springfield at Drury University. They took on Quincy first, and then Drury. What happened in that tri-match?
Yeah, well, Quincy had defeated Drury earlier in the day. That was an in-conference match, so I'm sure they went at it, and then we got Quincy first. And after we lost the first set, something seemed to ignite the Lady Mulerides. They took the next 3 sets. They got the 3-1 win. And it was Amanda Monge again with 16 kills. In the third set alone, she had 9 kills on her own. I mean, she basically took the set into her own hands. But again, I'll go back to Ali O'Banion. It's huge for her to regain her form in the middle. She had a career-high 8 blocks. And also Taylor Rayoum, she recorded her 7th double-double of the year with 46 assists, 14 digs. And Hannah Rice also had another outstanding game with 30 digs in the 4-set match. So it was a big win for the Lady Mulerides. And then moving on to the next match, probably a little fatigue had to play a little part in this match. In Drury, they got swept in the 3-set match, and when your setters has the highest percentage on your team attacking wise, that's really not good. And when your best hitter has only 2 kills, you know something's not working for you. So they got swept in that match, in the second match against Drury.
Well, even talking about that, we throughout this year we've been talking. It kind of seems to be that whenever the offense for the Lady Mule Riders is going and it's effective and efficient, it's really the keys are Amanda Manji. She seems to, as a senior, which is great to see. You have someone as a senior that is stepping up, leading the team, not only maybe in the locker room, off the court, but on the court. She seems to be a very big presence, and so obviously when she is right in a match, the Lady Mule Riders have a very good chance of coming away with the win, or even staying competitive, forcing it to 5, and then taking your chances in that. Kind of looking ahead to this past week, so Lady Mule Riders go 2-2 over last week, pick up a conference win in that. Another big week on tap. There's not many more weeks that won't be big weeks as you get towards the end of the season, but a little bit, hopefully, a chance for redemption for Lady Mule Riders. First and foremost, this Tuesday, going to Ouachita Baptist, try to avenge an early season loss. That was the first conference match for Lady Mule Riders. Also wound up being their home opener this year. Is a match that I think everybody associated with the program looks back and feels that maybe the Lady Mule Riders should have won that match. There were several opportunities for them, wound up losing in 5 sets. A tough way to start the conference season, but a chance to go there and maybe do the same thing to Ouachita on their home court. Hopefully maybe not in 5, but if it goes 5, so be it. So there's that on their front burner right now. It's what they're preparing for, and then also returning home for a big conference match against Southern Nazarene, one of the top teams in the Great American Conference as far as standings this year. So, a very big week on tap. What do you kind of expect as far as preparation in the week that will be?
Well, if we go back to Ouachita Baptist, I believe that was still when Allie O'Banion was playing outside. So she's made the move to middle. And also, Taylor Rayum got benched in the middle of that game. Savannah Pillow came in and played an incredible game. But I think Taylor Rayum is more settled in at the setter position. She's learning how to pass to the hitters, and she's also developed that dump ball to where she can attack from that position very often. And the key for both of these matches will be stopping the middles. That's really been their Achilles heel, so to say, this whole season. Ouachita Baptist middle, Kelly Ballard, she had 15 kills against us. She led for their team, and then Southern Naz has basically the number one middle in the conference in Taylor Jacobs. So it'll be about stopping the middles for the Lady Mule Riders this week.
Yeah, and the block has been something that has improved for the Lady Mule Riders throughout this season. Not saying that they have peaked, but they have definitely shown an upward trend of their ability to block, and so they'll obviously, with the emphasis on the middles, need to be able to guard against that and hopefully have a big block. And so those might be some of the keys to the Lady Mule Riders this week. Again, a couple big matches at OBU this Tuesday, 6:30 p.m., and then at home against Southern Nazarene, so 4 p.m. match. So be on the lookout for that on MuleriderAthletics.com. And then finally, Jordan, we'll wrap, I guess, with football. They played a home game against Arkansas Tech. It was very much a much-needed game and win for the Mule Rider football team. Brought them back to 500. They're now 3-3 on the year, 3-3 in conference play. Once again, defending your home field is very big in this conference, and if you can steal a couple of wins on the road, that's a big plus too. But obviously, taking care of business at home is the chief priority, and the Mule Riders were able to do that in a pretty significant way.
Yeah, but I think the story of the game was linebacker AJ Steele. We talked to him a little bit after the game, but do you have a stat line on him, and what can you say about his performance?
Yeah, AJ Steele, he's been the Mule Riders' top tackler throughout this year. He had 11 tackles this past game, 8 of them solo. He was just all over the place for the Mule Riders. 1 tackle for lost yardage, recovered a fumble, and then really as a whole, the story of that game was the Mule Riders on defense. They came away with 4 takeaways, all of them in the first half, 3 fumble recoveries and an interception. That's obviously one of the big keys you can always point to, I think, in a football game is winning the turnover battle. The Mule Riders had committed at least 2 turnovers in every game this year, and it's cost them in a couple of games, particularly because those turnovers have come late. They had 1 turnover in this game, but it was a great play by the Arkansas Tech defense. A nice little dump-off pass to Deion Williams, and he's streaking down the sideline. And guy just comes up underneath it and pops it away. So the Mule Riders were able to minimize their turnovers, but generate turnovers on the defensive side. And that really helped. And also, too, the Mule Riders coming off of a week to where they give up 500 yards net rushing to Harding, but that's what Harding does. So you can't really take that out of perspective too much. Then they come out and they hold Arkansas Tech to 25 yards rushing on 30 attempts. So obviously a great response from the week prior. And we talked to defensive coordinator Josh Lawson after the game too, and he credited the players with their preparation that week and kind of really having a short memory and knowing that the Harding game, that's what they do. It's a different type of offense. You, at least in our conference, you face it once a year, and that's it. And so he really credited the players for their ability to respond and put up that great number, 25 yards rushing on 30 carries was very, very good. And then some bright spots too offensively. Cy Blackshire, no interceptions, threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he continues to be more or less a steady player for the Mule Riders and seems to be making some better decisions with the football. Obviously, still scrambling around a little bit. Like to see him maybe not have to run as much or at least get down. Saw him go into the baseball slide a couple of times, so that was good, protecting himself there. But looking ahead for Southern Arkansas, one more home game. That's this week. Homecoming and Hall of Fame. Should be a very good crowd, we hope. Taking on a Southern Nazarene team that they've struggled since they've come into Division II, transitioning from the NAIA. Past 3 years are just 2-26. Went winless last year, 0-11. They're 0-6 this year coming in. So those are the facts there. But obviously, you still have to go out and play the game. I think the Mule Riders will be focused, knowing that after this game they go into a much-needed bye week. And so, really they can kind of lay it all out on the line this week, knowing you got a week to maybe rest up, get healthy, and really expect the Mule Riders to basically do what they do offensively. Have a very stout defensive performance. Hopefully they should be able to do that on paper. And if the Mule Riders are able to come away with the win, it'll be the first time since 1997 that the Mule Riders have gone undefeated at home. Obviously, one of our home games was moved to El Dorado, so technically that's going to be a neutral site game, but they're able to get the win 4-0 at home this year, first time since 1997. So that's all the things on tap for the Mule Riders. Another big week ahead. Be sure to check MuleriderAthletics.com for all your game previews and live links if you're unable to attend either the volleyball match or the football game this upcoming weekend. Jordan, we appreciate all the hard work.